Hi guys, I'm Andy. Welcome back to Backpacking UK. If hiking, backpacking and wild camping are your thing, please hit that subscribe button because that's what this channel's all about. Right, today I'll be answering the question, how much water should you take with you hiking and backpacking? Right, so it's a little bit of a trick question to be honest, but if you watch this video, I promise it will transform your experience. Now, I've done lots of endurance events over the time, either really long hikes, marathons, just enormous cycle rides. And it all starts with your preparation. Sounds really boring, you know, especially if you're a Brit. You like a beer, you like a curry, you like a Chinese. Unfortunately, for hydration, that's really, really bad. Now, what I'd recommend is taking some products with you, and I'll just go through them with what they are, but it's all about preparation. So where do we start? We start 48 hours before we go on our adventures. You've got to drink loads of water. I'm not talking like cups of tea and coffee. You must just pure water. You can still have your tea and coffee and that, but just you must drink throughout the day. Some of these bottles are brilliant. They all like to give you markers per hour. You can find them on Amazon. But you must drink 48 hours before. Now the day before, do not go for a curry, do not go for a Chinese, do not have some beers. You're just going to dehydrate yourself. And what does it mean being dehydrated? You're not going to enjoy yourself at all. You're going to feel fatigued so fast. You're going to start cramping up. You're going to have no energy. It's just going to spoil the whole event just for the sake of being hydrated 48 hours before. It's just going to transform your experience. Now, as hikers and backpackers, we like to keep our weight to a minimum. However, please don't do this with water. Do it with other pieces of kit, but don't do it with water. You need to make sure you're hydrated throughout the day. Hopefully you've hydrated the 48 hours before, you've hydrated in the morning before you set off, and then when you go, don't try and save your water up. Drink your water evenly throughout the day. Hit your hydration points, your rivers, your lakes, your reservoirs. Fill up, but do not scrimp on your water. Make sure you're fully topped up throughout the day. So when you're hiking and backpacking in extreme temperatures, or even like today, it's like 30 degrees, you'll dehydrate so fast. You must plan your route. Plan your route, see if there's any streams, rivers, lakes, reservoirs, any sort of water source on your route, and plan your hydration along with that. Like if you know that you've got, say, a little river coming up in like a mile, you can afford to finish off your drink, stay hydrated, knowing that in a short period of time you're going to be able to fill your reservoir back up, or your bottles or your flasks. But it's really important, you must do it on a hot day. You must plan your hydration points. So first up, we've got the classic bladder, the hydration reservoir. Now what I'd say to you is they're fairly universal, right? So I've got a lot of Osprey packs. These cost an absolute fortune. If you get the official Osprey ones, they're pretty much all the same. So what I'd say is I'd have a look around and try and get a cheaper one because they're pretty universal. But I'd also say try and get the largest one possible for your rucksack or backpack. If you've got a large one, you don't have to fill it. You can fill it just to whatever you want, but this is a 1.5 litre one. Now it's 30 odd degrees today. 1.5 litres, how far is that going to get me if I'm hiking and backpacking? Not far at all. It's simply not good enough. So what I'd say is get the biggest bladder that you can for your rucksack and backpack. So what do you actually put in your bladders and your bottles, what do you put in there? Do you just put water in there? Do you put a bit of squash in there? What do you do? Now, I'd strongly recommend these little electrolyte tabs. These are like high five, you buy this from Wiggle, but I also use the SIS ones, the Science and Sport ones. They weigh nothing, these electrolyte tabs. They're so small and compact, don't take up any space. Drop, I don't know how many tabs. You usually use a tab per like 500 ml. So if you've got a 2.5 litre bladder, it wouldn't be a bad idea if you put 5 in there, but it's just going to help your body retain that water. Now, some people don't use bladders, which is absolutely fine. When it's an absolute scorcher like today, there's nothing worse than drinking warm water. It doesn't cool your body down properly. It might still hydrate you, but it doesn't cool your core down. Now, things like the Super Sparrow flask or this Hydro flask, to be honest, it could be any flask, but take a flask with you. These are two products are superb. They keep cold water cold for so long. And when it's a boiling hot day, absolutely gasping for some water, it's such a nice feeling having a nice cold drink. Now, if you haven't got a bladder or a flask, most people take like water bottles, you know, with the classic sort of cycle water bottle. But all I'd say is things again like Super Sparrow one, 750 ml. If it's a boiling hot day, just make sure you take big bottles. Don't take the little 500 ml ones. It's just not good enough. Not going to last long enough. This is 750 ml. I'd say that's a minimum. If you can get litre ones, brilliant. If you've got a rucksack or backpack that stores one on either side, fill them. Now, I'd highly recommend taking filtration devices. This is a Life straw one, which is like classic. You have to dip it in the water, and then as you suck through the top, it filters it on the way up. This is an MSR trail shot, so you stick it in the water, pump into like a water bottle or a flask. I'd also recommend the Sawyer Squeeze. That's a really good filtration device too. So you might be thinking, what's the worst that can happen? Well, you could be in big trouble. You know, if you overheat, you know, you could have heat stroke. It could go really bad for you. You could be stuck on a mountain because you're fully cramped up. You've just got no energy left. Don't do it for the sake of drinking water. Now, you can do other things as well. Make sure the clothing that you're wearing's wicking in. You know, on a day like today, to be honest, you know it's easy to think, oh, 30 to 35 degrees, I'm going off hiking, I'm going to get a killer tan. You know, put some high factor sun cream on, wear a hat. You know, this is like a super thin t-shirt. But to be honest though, if it's a really hot day, you might actually want to take like a long sleeve t-shirt or maybe even some base layer bottoms just to keep the sun off your skin. But if there's one thing I want you guys to ever think about today, it is this: 2% loss of hydration leads to a loss of 10% of performance. Now that is absolutely massive. So just have a think about that today. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to put all the links to the products that I use in the description. If you don't know what to choose, that's a good starting point for you. But I don't really mind what you use, just make sure you've got sufficient water storage and a way of filling it up. Now, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Please check out my other videos and hope to see you hiking and backpacking soon. Cheers.